The British have definitely left the EU on January 1st, so something that has certainly not been without a struggle until now in trade. But there's also an effect of Brexit that has many positive voices about it, the radical reform of British agriculture. Completely separate from the common EU's policy, the British government wants to make agriculture greener and more sustainable and thus achieve the climate goals. The plans are ambitious. When we bought this farm, there were hardly any trees and bushes on the land. We planted a lot and just let it grow. It's good against soil erosion, it absorbs CO2 and is an ideal place for birds to nest, says Alice Groom, manager of the Hope Farm. It is England's largest testing ground. The farm in the country of Cambridgeshire is owned by the British Bird Protection, and with over 1 million members, one of the largest nature organizations in Europe. The organization bought the farm to show that agriculture can also be done differently. Without the excessive use of pesticides and without converting every square meter of the land for food, they give space to nature at Hope Farm. It's only interesting that Britain is one of the biggest pesticide exporters. Not just saying, because I made a video on one of my other channels about the dangers of that. But let's listen to Alice a bit more. It's going very well. We grow beans, seeds and grain here. And we have seen in recent years that we are just as profitable as similar farms in the area, says manager Groom. Special strips of nature have also been created between the fields, which must pollinate the land in a natural way. In addition, it is full of birds on the farm. The fact that there are so many birds here is proof that we have a healthy ecosystems here, says Groom. However, Hope Farm has been an exception in the UK farm stock in recent years. During British EU membership, many farmers relied on agricultural subsidies from the European Union, which allocates those subsidies mainly based on the number of acres of land someone owns. There was hardly any incentive to become more sustainable, although there is a lot of national legislation going on, for example, here in my state, not only nationwide but also statewide, that's work on this. So it's not all EU responsibility to take care of this, just saying. So there would have been chances to do more while you're an EU member, otherwise we couldn't do it here in my state. But Groom says, we really hope that Brexit is a driver to stimulate this. At the end of last year, the British government passed a new agricultural law in which it was agreed that the subsidy regime would be phased out over the next 7 years. After that, farmers only receive support from the government based on how sustainably they operate. Nature organizations enthusiastically applaud the plans. Still, according to Minette Batters, chairman of the National Farmers Union, the biggest advocate of British farmers, there are also risks involved. She certainly sees opportunities for farmers to become more sustainable and to deal with the land and livestock in a much more efficient and climate-friendly way, but she also fears that that could mean for the British competition position. If we as Brits are going to lead the way, will there not be much more imported food coming in from abroad that does not meet our high standards? In Sweden, they have tried to greatly increase the requirements for farmers and for animal welfare, but in the end it led to that leads to more imports of food from Germany. That's a danger, says Batters. Batters' Prime Minister Boris Johnson does not trust his blue eyes when he speaks passionately for green and sustainable agriculture. No, Batters doesn't trust Johnson. That's the way around. The advantage of the European subsidies was that it provided certainty in the long term. Now we are at the mercy of the government's budget, and soon we will have to compete with healthcare, the police, and education, says Batters. But at the Hope Farm, they still have the confidence that the British can take a new path, partly thanks to Brexit. We can set an example for the rest of the world, leading the way, something that other countries can rely on. Nature-friendly agriculture is the future, no doubt about it, says Groom. But once again, first of all, if you want to do this, you don't need Brexit for it. We have a lot of farmers here that are working on solutions for this. They are in cooperation with our state government, for example, in looking at new designs for stables. For example, you're talking about animal welfare. They are looking into the whole soil thing with the green stripes for all the insects, for birds and stuff like this. And they are doing this while we are a member. So Brexit was never necessary for that. But I'm really have to agree with the association. I honestly don't believe that the farmers will get the same amount of money in the future they got while the UK was in the EU. And that will bankrupt a lot of farmers. I'm quite sure about this. And I'm dealing with a lot of farmers in my area. I'm living in an area, although I'm living in the city, I'm living in a part of the city where we have lots of farms. And I'm talking to a lot of them very, very often. And so I'm not so sure about that whole concept in connection with this government. So sorry for me to say that, but that's fact. I believe that, and that's how I feel. And you can prove me wrong. We will see in a couple of years, in a few years, but I hope it's not too late then. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.